Kethevane Gorjestani joins me on the set now to break this all down. Kethevane, you're our international affairs editor, former Washington correspondent. This is something you know by heart. Let's look at the Super Tuesday results for Donald Trump first. Was it a real sweep for him? Is there a lot of celebrating in the Trump campaign today?
Absolutely. They wanted a show of force, and they got it. It's almost a sweep because there's that one state, Vermont, that went to Nikki Haley. But otherwise, it really showed Donald Trump bulldozing his way through this Republican primary and mounting an insurmountable lead. Mathematically, he doesn't have the delegates yet, but that is likely to happen by mid-March. We would see Donald Trump being mathematically the nominee. That said, despite this overwhelming sweep of Super Tuesday, there were also some worrying signs for Donald Trump. Some of these states, some of these results, when you dig through the numbers, show some weaknesses, again, with independents, with moderates, with college-educated, with suburban voters, with women. All of these groups are less of a problem when you're running in a primary for the Republican Party. It can become a very big problem when you're running in the general election against a Democrat. And so those are going to be the groups that Donald Trump will try to target.
And that could be good news for Nikki Haley, who was also running in these primaries. Now, she did say she would stay until at least Super Tuesday. As we said, she only won one state. What does this mean for her going forward?
Well, the big question is that she has not answered that question because she did not speak yesterday after each of her losses in the past. We haven't heard from her yet. She doesn't seem to have any official events planned yet. So it looks like she is thinking and putting through her options as to what to do next. But the statement that her team put out talked about the large block of Republican primary voters who are expressing deep concerns about Donald Trump. So she believes that she is representative of a part of the Republican Party. The question is, where do they go? That will in part probably depend on what she does, because there's some talk about the possibility of her being that third-party candidate that some people have been talking about. It's unclear if that is going to happen, but the question about her voter is going to be important. Do they go to Trump? Do they stay at home? Or possibly, do they go to Biden?
So we've been focusing a lot on the Republican primaries, but this was also a primary for the Democrats, for Joe Biden. What can we read into how he did?
Well, for him, it's also a sweep, and also a sweep that covers up a little bit of weaknesses. And the one weakness that we had seen last week in Michigan showed up again, this time in Minnesota and other states. And we're talking, of course, about that uncommitted vote, largely built on opposition to his policy and to his support for Israel in the war against Hamas. That protest vote in Michigan was already significant. It was 13% in Michigan. In Minnesota, it was 19%, and people expected it to be lower than in Michigan. So the fact that this is gaining ground is a worry for Joe Biden, and the fact that it is now not really contained to Arab and Muslim populations, because Minnesota and Michigan have large Arab and Muslim populations, but also to other states. And it seems that this is moving on to the younger, more progressive voters. But just like with the Haley voters, the question is, where do these people go in November? They're not going to go to Trump, that is for sure. But they could stay at home, they could go to a third party, or they could in the end decide that Joe Biden is better than the alternative. And that is starting to be the message from the Biden campaign. The statement yesterday was, there is a clear choice now, Trump versus Joe Biden. Are we going to keep moving forward, or will we allow Donald Trump to drag us backwards into chaos, division, and darkness that defined his first term?
All right, Kethevane, thank you for that, Kethevane Gorjestani.